Good morning, everybody. My name is Deborah Takahara. I'm the Public Information Director here at the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. And it is a super exciting day for us here at the Douglas County Sheriff's Office as we are able to provide a Louisiana family answers 7 long years after their boy was kidnapped. Douglas County Sheriff Darren Weekly will announce the amazing work that our deputies and staff members did to unravel this mystery and make this discovery. U.S. Marshal Kirk Taylor is here to talk about their work over the past 7 years, never giving up hope of finding this boy. Douglas County Under Sheriff Dave Walcher will read a statement from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and explain their role in this discovery. And Douglas County Commissioner Abe Layden will discuss the board's support for our deputies. Also joining us today is DA George Brockler, Chief Mike McIntosh, Captain Jason Kennedy, Captain Dan McMillan, and Sergeant Jeffrey Burke. We're going to begin with Sheriff Weekly.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Good morning. Today I am proud to share a remarkable story. Thanks to the quick response of our deputies and their attention to details, a 14-year-old boy has been safely recovered after being missing for 7 long years. It was the quick thinking of a vigilant member of our community, a homeowner monitoring their security cameras for a house that he had for sale, and he noticed some suspicious activity and immediately called the sheriff's office to report possible burglary or trespass in progress. This call not only led to the apprehension of 2 suspects, but unknown to everyone at the time, to the discovery of a missing child and the resolution to a 7-year-old mystery. When our deputies arrived on scene to what they initially appeared to be a routine trespass call, they quickly made contact with 2 children who were in a vehicle in a driveway. 2 individuals exited the home, and as the deputies began to investigate further, they began to uncover inconsistencies in the suspect's story. And their work led them to a shocking discovery that one of the suspects, Rabia Khalid, was actually a fugitive wanted for kidnapping. Our deputies didn't stop there. They worked tirelessly to verify the identities of everyone involved, leading to the realization that 14-year-old Abdul Aziz Khan had been abducted by his non-custodial mother, Rabia Khalid, back in 2017. Elliot Bourgeois, who was with Khalid, was also arrested and being held on charges of kidnapping, as well as a litany of other charges. This victim's family has asked for privacy. I had the privilege of meeting with the family in my office yesterday, and what I will tell you is there wasn't a dry eye in the room. They are extremely grateful for our deputies in the Douglas County Sheriff's Office for their ability to identify what was going on to bring Aziz home. This family has a long road ahead of them, but our team is there for them. We will walk with them step by step as they navigate this journey. We hope they find healing and hope in the days, weeks, months, and even years ahead of them. I also want to acknowledge the effort of the U.S. Marshal Service, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the Kenner Police Department in Louisiana, and everyone that has worked alongside us to bring the case to this point in the investigation. This is a true example of how law enforcement agencies at all levels can come together to make a difference in the lives of the families that we serve. I'd also like to thank Netflix and Unsolved Mysteries and Crime Stoppers for helping bring national attention to Aziz's case, making it possible for more eyes to be on the lookout for him. While we've made significant progress in this case, this is still an ongoing investigation. We are continuing to gather information to fully resolve this case and ensure that those responsible are held accountable. This reminds us all of why we do this work. It's my privilege as the sheriff to lead such an amazing group of people, our deputies and our dispatchers. They did just an amazing job to solve this case. I often wonder how many law enforcement contacts did this family have, did these people have, before our deputies were able to dig in and identify exactly what was going on. Today, thanks to their work, a child is now safe and a family can now begin to heal. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to U.S. Marshal for the District of Colorado, Kirk Taylor.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff, and good morning. Thank you for having us here today. On behalf of the United States Marshal Service and Senior Inspector Brian Fair, who was the Eastern Louisiana Deputy Marshal who caught this case over 5 years ago, the Marshals picked this case up in 2020 and started trying to track down the young lady and the kidnapped child. He is part of the District Sex Offender Investigation Coordinator for Eastern Louisiana Marshal's Office. I spoke with Marshal Enix Smith. They were over the moon happy about this arrest. And as a former sheriff, I can tell you, you as a community and Sheriff Weekly have a right to be extremely proud of this team that dug and dug and dug until they were able to find out the identities and bring this case to a close. It's just amazing. The Marshals really didn't do anything on this case in particular. Senior Inspector Brian Fair did go, we went to 11 different states looking for this young lady and the child. And it had really gone cold. We'd entered it in NCMEC, we'd entered it in everything we could to try to keep shaking the tree and rattling the bushes to see if we could get it to fall out. And just great police work on behalf of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. And I just can't, I sincerely thank you on behalf of the United States Marshal Service and Eastern Louisiana Marshal, and Brian Fair was over the moon when he got the call, so thank you so much. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Under Sheriff Dave Walter.
Thank you, Marshal Taylor. So, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, I want to spend just a moment talking about them, but they are a nonprofit corporation whose mission is to help find missing children, reduce sexual exploitation, and prevent child victimization. This is the great example right here. This is why we do what we do, and this is what NCMEC does to make things like this happen. And I do want to read a quote by John Bischoff. He's a Vice President of Missing Children for NCMEC, and he provided this quote. He couldn't be here today, but I certainly want to let you know their thoughts. So the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has worked closely with law enforcement and Aziz's family since his disappearance, always believing he could be found in family abduction cases. And it can be difficult to garner public attention, but we knew that national media coverage was crucial. Aziz could not have been anywhere, could have been anywhere. Thanks to the deputy's keen instincts and the attention of both law enforcement and the public, Aziz is now safe. We know family reunifications can be challenging, and as Aziz and his family reconnect and heal, NCMEC will continue to support them. I just have to stress, this is about partnerships right here. It's partnership with our federal government, the United States Marshals in this case, partnering with NCMEC to bring this to closure. And it's just a remarkable story. There's a lot of work to do, but it doesn't happen without good partners out there, so I certainly appreciate the work by all involved. So I would like to introduce Douglas County Commissioner Abe Layden at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Under Sheriff, and Marshal Taylor. My name is Abe Layden. I'm the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners in Douglas County, Colorado. And make no mistake, a family is being made whole because of the great police work of the people behind me in the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. We are so committed to public safety in Douglas County and that critical partnership that the Undersheriff represented between the federal government, our state partners, and our local sheriff's office. Douglas County is a place where quality of life comes first, and that begins with public safety. No other county in the state funds public safety like Douglas County, and we're going to continue to do that. Thank you. Deb?
Thank you very much. And before we open it up for questions, and they're happy to take questions, we did want to show you some clips from body camera from a week ago Sunday when this discovery was made. And if we can show you, direct your attention to the monitor here. We'll play the video and I'll walk you through it a little bit. It started again in daylight in the middle of the afternoon with a trespassing call.
Criminal trespass. All right. Like I said, I just wanted to confirm that with you and make sure that that was the route that we were wanting to go, or if you wanted them just trespass from the house to where they can't be a buyer or anything like that. Just trying to make sure I'm going down the proper channels.
And here is our deputy trying to determine all of the fake identities he's been given.
Well, let's say when there's the Georgia driver's license, that the number comes back to a lady born in 1921. The name,
It's a lady.
yeah, born in 1921.
And here they are on scene, putting their heads together, trying to figure out what exactly they were dealing with. And by this time, there were several deputies on scene, getting multiple stories from the suspects. And next you'll hear from one of our deputies who is tracking down the vehicle, which is also suspicious to him.
I'm a deputy in Douglas County, Colorado, and I'm out with a vehicle, and when we run it, the number it shows as belonging to y'all. Is there a manager or somebody I could talk to?
And next is what I like to describe as the aha moment, when the deputies realized that there was a warrant out for this woman's arrest and that children were involved.
Does it say what agency?
Georgia is the DF. This is a Hawaii.
I can see if I can get in contact with whichever.
Oh, interesting. It's a 19 warrant updated in 23. So they probably. So is this a rental or they buying?
Yeah. So it's to an alias that they've given us, the dead guy. It's rented. The dead guy that he says he is the one that's got it registered. And when I pull up the registration, it's that guy's name plus a trust listed.
Okay, so they're just.
I've already asked for it. I can go back to.
Okay. Here's your Kenner PD, Louisiana, has a phone number by the name. Your quick phone. There, you'll have it all. You'll have her name, date of birth, and what. Yeah, what we need to do is figure out what kid is missing. Oh, well, we haven't run the kids yet.
No, we haven't. No, this one listed.
No.
No, there's.
Yeah.
That's her. So what's her?
Just unbelievably phenomenal police work, and I'm so proud to be part of this agency. And with that, we'd like to open it up for questions if you have any.
How did the reunion take place? Sheriff, were you there? Who was there when the child was reunited with the family?
That process is still ongoing. It's going to take some time for them to get to that level. After Aziz was abducted 7 years ago, that is a slow process, and it's still ongoing.
Were they casing homes in the neighborhood, or what were they doing there?
The question was, were they casing homes or what were they doing there? That is still under investigation at this time. We're still piecing all of that together. I know our deputies or detectives executed a search warrant in the city of Aurora where this couple was living, and so our detectives are still working on that.
Did the child know that he had been kidnapped?
Question was, did the child know that they had been kidnapped? That still is under investigation. I will share this with you, that when the deputies contacted the child in the driveway, the child immediately called the two people inside. So we believe that the child was actually coached on what to say if they came into contact with law enforcement.
Was he going to school? Was he enrolled somewhere, or was he living under a different name? Did he know his name was Aziz?
I don't have that information. That's still under investigation.
Sheriff, what was the interaction with the family like?
The interaction with the family, the father, it was actually amazing. I got to meet with them for about an hour yesterday in my office. They explained the story to me about how this all started. They had a tough time actually getting law enforcement to be responsive because this on the front end it appeared to be a custody dispute. The mother in this case made some allegations against the father, criminal allegations. My understanding is all of that had been dismissed. And then when it appeared that the father was going to get full custody, that is when the mother left with the child.
Do we know what led them to Colorado specifically and to Douglas County? I mean, led them to Colorado, do we know?
The question is what led them to Colorado. That is still under investigation. We believe that they have actually been all over the country.
Sheriff, is there any indication that any harm had been done to the missing child?
The question was, has there been any indication that there was any harm done to the child? No, both children that were contacted appeared to be healthy.
Where's the boy now, Sheriff? Has he been physically reunited with his father, or is that still, like you say, not going to happen?
That's the question is has the child been reunited with the father? That has not taken place yet. There's still a transition that is underway right now, and the child's location is confidential.
What's the role the man who was arrested played in all of this?
The question was what was the role that the man had to play? That he was involved in terms of being an associate with Rabia. There are several charges in relating to fraud. There were several identifications that were discovered in the vehicle that our detectives have done a search warrant on. And so, again, that there's a litany of charges that he is also facing. Both suspects in this case are being held in the Douglas County Jail, each with $1 million bond.
Would this be a state charge, or would this go up to a federal level case too?
I'll let the DA, DA Brockler, do you want to take this one?
As for the charges, there are state charges right now. Whether or not the federal government would choose to get involved in this because of the interstate play of the transportation, that's a conversation we haven't had yet. I haven't talked with anyone from the U.S. Attorney's Office about that. I should also say this as we start talking about the case that exists now and what the next steps might be. We have to presume these people innocent, no matter how it seems on videos and Netflix and whatever. For this system to work, we got to presume them innocent of these charges to move forward. I'm happy to stand here, by the way, and answer any other questions that you have. Can I throw out a couple things so that you know? March, what's the date? 27th is going to be the preliminary hearing as it's scheduled now for both of these individuals. They each face a number of charges, more for the male than the female, and I think it's 14 total for the male. And I keep looking back. You should know the two hardcore prosecutors that are in part handling this are just off camera here. And I know she doesn't want me to say it, so Lauren, sorry, 14 for the guy and 9 for her. Of the 14 on the male, 12 of them are felonies and 2 are not. And for her, it's 7 are felonies and 2 are not. What you will note about those charges that have been filed is that he is charged with kidnapping. She is not. She is charged with conspiracy to kidnap. That's because one of the nuances of the law is that you cannot kidnap your own child. And so we've filed those charges. That preliminary hearing is scheduled for the 27th. Whether it goes then or not could be a function of a whole bunch of different things. But if it goes, you'll see a lot more presentation of some of the stuff that you saw here, but much more details about the fraud and the ID stuff and all that. Jeremy?
Is it possible that there could be charges filed in Louisiana too?
Undoubtedly. And I think that's the other question that you're probably driving towards is what next in terms of that? Now, this case originated in Louisiana. They have a warrant for her. For whatever reason, they don't have a warrant for him. There's a hold on her. And the question is, well, what do we do with that? And so having conversations with our counterparts in Louisiana matter. I will tell you, practically speaking, from experience, it would be unusual for us to not resolve this case first here and then send them on. Once you lose control of somebody, anybody in the system will tell you that you very rarely get them back. So whatever we have going on here, my focus will be to try to get as much justice as I can out of that in the context of the case that we have, and then probably figure out a way to get them where they need to be to address those charges.
Without getting into too much detail with the other child, I know you have to protect his privacy. What was the relationship of the other child to the man and to the woman? Were they a couple? Would you characterize them as a couple, Sheriff?
I'm not going to be able to answer that question at this time.
We know
Yes.
how long they were in Colorado for?
I do not have that. I know detectives are working on that.
How easy or how hard is it to stay under the radar for this long period of time without some kind of blimp somewhere?
Well, Honestly, it's attention to detail. Again, I'm just speculating. I'm guessing over the last 7 years, they probably had contact with law enforcement, whether it be a traffic stop or what have you, and that law enforcement officer may have just taken them for their word. We have IDs that were being used. Rabia, in particular, she claimed not to have identification. And so that's what's so great about this is our deputies and our dispatchers, they knew something wasn't right, they were following their gut, and they investigated further. They just didn't take it on face value and take the easy way out and move on. They dug and dug and dug for about 5 hours until they could figure out what was going on. I'm also proud of the fact that our deputies, while these 2 kids were in the middle of this, when our deputies are trying to figure this out, they went to a neighbor's house near the scene, and they got food. They were watching Blue's Clues. They were keeping these kids occupied so they weren't in fear about what was going on. I'm just exceptionally proud of the work of my deputies.
With these IDs and everything, is there a way to backtrack to see maybe they may have been stopped or questioned or whatever before?
100%. The question was is to backtrack on identification and everything else. Our financial crimes detectives do this for a living, and that's part of this investigative process as they will dig down, figure out when these IDs were used, where they were used, what names they were using, when they were using them. So there's a lot of work ahead of us.
Sheriff, what were they doing in the neighborhood? I have spoken to someone who encountered them and have an idea of some of the things they were doing. But what do you understand they were doing there? Why were they in that neighborhood?
All I can tell you is I know they went through it. The house was up for sale. They made entry to the home through an open door. As far as what their end goal was, I would only be speculating that time. Our deputies or detectives are still working on that.
Did it appear they may have been trying to steal anything, or what were they doing at that house?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Have you guys seen any Ring doorbell video that might have seen as they moved about that neighborhood and what they might have been doing? And I know you can't show that to us, but can you tell us what that video shows?
That is standard for our detectives to do that on any type of criminal cases, to gather Ring doorbell footage and things like that. That is still being reviewed, and I can't comment on what they have seen.
Thank you. Is she showing any remorse about this?
The mother had made claims to her original claim to authorities in Louisiana about making allegations against the father, and that was her claim is why she left with Aziz. As I mentioned before, those charges in Louisiana have been dismissed, and when the mother absconded with the child was when the father was going to get full custody.
Who was at the reunion? The father, well, not the reunion. You said you spoke to the father. The father was here in Colorado, is that right?
That's correct.
And who else was there? The father, and who was in that office with you? Can you say?
I'll just say members of the family.
Sure.
Can you talk about you talked about the long process, the reunification process? I would imagine you have maybe Child Protective Services present, maybe some other state level, social workers that may be part of this process, Sheriff?
That's correct. It is a slow process. Again, this father has not had contact. He told me for like a total of 9 years he has not seen Aziz. So this is the only life that Aziz has known, and so it is gonna take some time. So it's baby steps to get up to that point, and there's just a lot of work to be done for this reunification. It's not a simple process.
Did the deputy who we saw in the video there, he was very surprised with that aha moment that Deb described. But what did the deputies, how do they characterize that encounter with the parents? Were they nervous? Were they fidgety? Do you know any of that?
Well, the two suspects that we contacted, they were both very nervous. Their stories were not adding up. Our deputies would ask them, what's your date of birth? Okay, how old are you? Basic police 101 stuff that we use on a daily basis when we think people are lying to us. These are the tactics that they use to figure out that they were in fact being lied to, that there was more going on here, and that they needed to dig deeper to figure out what was going on.
Is there any concern that they were going to escape or drive off or anything like that? Did the deputies ever feel that?
Not that they have told me. Our deputies do an amazing job, so that is always a consideration for our deputies on the street when they're dealing with any type of an issue. one of the many things that they are dealing with when they have contact with any individual is what the unknown could be or what could happen. So there was no real concern of that, just because our deputies do an exceptional job.
How long did it take from the time they arrived at the scene for them to realize that this was a very serious, dangerous matter? An hour, 2 hours?
They were out there a total of 5 hours to get this figured out, and detectives eventually responded. They knew something was up within the first few minutes of arriving, that just things were not adding up. There was more to this going on. Just the stories weren't fitting with, a typical contact of somebody not breaking the law.
And Sheriff, you may not know the answer to this question, but typically how long might it take for Aziz to be reunited with his family? Is there a general time frame, or I don't know if you can even answer that question?
I really can't answer that question. I think it's going to take as long as it takes. It's a slow process, and they're going to take their time to do that.
And really, we've never experienced something like that before. So, are there any other questions? I would like to wrap up by just saying, asking the public, like Vicente mentioned, if you have any information about where these individuals have been over the past 7 years, we ask you to call Metro Denver Crime Stoppers, and their number is 720-913-STOP. That's 720-913-7867. We would love to hear from anyone who might have information that could help in this case. And also, we'd like to thank our media partners for being here and helping us to share this story and to get the word out.
Okay, and I'll ask you this one last question.
Yes.
Would you consider, just as a public information request, is there any way we could see body cam video of that blurred out of the children at the scene, or perhaps?
We are not going to release that at this time. We have a case to prosecute. Well, the district attorney has a case to prosecute. We are happy to provide the clips that we showed you here today of the moments really highlighting the work that our deputies did. So we'll get those to you after this news conference.
I expected you would say no to the first part of my question.
Thank you for asking, though.
I have a simple question. I mean, just generally, you kind of lauded just the national spotlight that this story has followed. I mean, now that Douglas County Sheriff's Office has found themselves in the middle of this, where do you guys see yourselves in the national spotlight when it comes to this? You said you've never dealt with something like this, so now where do you, how do you guys want to respond to that national spotlight? If you're going to get it?
I'll be honest with you, I'm blessed to be the sheriff of one of the finest law enforcement agencies in the entire state of Colorado, and I say that everywhere I go. We simply go above and beyond every single day that we come to work. Whether you're a deputy sheriff on the street, whether you're a dispatcher, whether you're a detective, the expectation is that you go above and beyond. And the expectation is if something doesn't feel right, follow your gut. And they do that every single day to keep this community safe, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And that is the culture that I have not only helped to build, but to maintain in this organization. And I have just an amazing staff, both commissioned and civilian. We're just very blessed here. We take public safety and crime fighting very seriously here.
I should have asked this question. Where's the father from? What state does the father live in now? Can you tell us that?
Yeah. He lives in Louisiana.
In Louisiana. The whole family's from Louisiana.
Yes.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes.
And one other thing, if you have questions for the family, if you'd like to request an interview when they're ready, if you could put those requests through the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, we have that information for you, and they will compile all of those requests. But again, we do ask for you to respect the family's privacy at this time. Thank you very much.